Welcome to the Wealthy in Pajamas podcast, where it's not all about the money, but it's not about the money. I'm your host, Sonya Highfield, the Wealth Expansion Coach, here to help creatives find their real version of wealth, build profitable businesses, and be happy, healthy humans. Hey everyone, welcome to today's Wealthy in Pajamas podcast episode. I am super excited to introduce you and deep dive with you with our guest today, Deborah McDaniel, not to be confused with Deborah. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm really excited for everyone to hear from you today because number one, you're an amazing human, but number two, like you're having a really interesting business moment. And I'm going to read your bio so people know a little bit who you are, and then we'll
Yeah.
dive into everything. But I think if you're any kind of creative business owner, you're going to be shocked and loving this conversation today. I don't know if I
So,
just, maybe not shocked, maybe just shook in the best of ways.
mhm.
Okay, so Deb is a personal brand architect, narrative director, and the founder of Brandgasm AI. She's known for her ability to blend premium brand strategy, AI innovation, and quantum play business principles. And she helps entrepreneurs and service providers look, feel, and sell like the most powerful version of themselves.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yes.
Okay. So before we dive in, and I forget, the question I always love to ask everyone is, what does wealth mean to you?
Mm, yeah. Okay. So, my definition of wealth is choice. That to me, I think is like foundationally wealth is to have choice in in our lives. Like I think in every aspect of our lives, business wise, do I have choice? Physically, do I have choice? Do I have capacity? Do I have choice? Do I have autonomy and sovereignty? I think all of those are what I would consider wealth
Mhm.
beyond just money.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I feel like these days, choice is really a, I don't even know what like a luxury in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Like because of
Yeah.
the politics of our country right now, it's like choice is
Hmm.
actually not guaranteed. And so to have it is the
That is
ultimate,
wealth. Hmm.
yeah, ultimate wealth and well-being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so tell people a little bit about like how you've landed where you are now, because I know you've lived 18 lives in the last few years, but tell us a
Yes.
little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Oh gosh. Okay. So the long of the short is I started in entrepreneurship about 4.5 years ago. I was 7 months pregnant. I was on the tail end of my first kind of reckoning with burnout, but I didn't know it was burnout at the time. I was working at this very toxic corporate job that was just like, it was a lot. I was the youngest person in my position. I was the only woman of color in my position. And there's this, it's like this knowing that you are the top of your field, your industry, your department, and people can't stand that.
Mm.
So while they absolutely need you because you're the only person, the resource expert, and that's what I was like the resource expert, this powerhouse, at the same time, my own bosses kind of despised me for being so indispensable.
Yeah.
And so I was, in this job and navigating knowing that my bosses did not like me at all, but they needed me. And then I got pregnant with my third, and it was not a plan. I before this, I was very control freak. I was like, I planned my other two, and people would look at me like I was crazy. And I would look at them like they were crazy. Like, how did you not plan? How do you not have like so, karma, because then I get pregnant unexpectedly, and I had planned for a year later so that I could have all my ducks in a row. So, this pregnancy threw me for a loop. I'm in my early 30s. I am not prepared. I'm not even thinking about this. And I get pregnant, and it's the most intense pregnancy I've ever gone through. I'm having round the clock morning sickness. I'm having high blood pressure, migraines, all things I never experienced because I planned my other two and like energetically got my body on board. And so I'm feeling hijacked. Like I'm pregnant, I'm feeling hijacked,
Out of control.
out of control. The first time that I'm not in control of like my body.
Mm.
And then because of that, now I have no control over my career because now these men that I'm reporting to are like, ooh, here's the foothold that we need. So they start putting in place all these like systematic things to take away responsibilities, like write me up because I'm spending too much time in the bathroom. So all of this is happening. And I wind up having this moment of like, my whole identity is my job. And I don't know, like, I am the top performer. And right now, I'm not performing at the top because my body has been hijacked and I don't know what to do. And I'm completely overwhelmed. My mental health is like just in the toilet. And I get put on a sabbatical because I literally am like, I'm not going to make it. So I'm 7 months pregnant. I go out on a leave of absence. I take a 10-month sabbatical to just like regulate,
And
not
have a
lose it,
baby. Yeah.
a baby. So in this 10-month sabbatical, I start playing and I get into food photography because I'm a creative by heart and I can't just be sitting. Like I gotta do something. And I'm like, if I can't work, then what do I want to do? I'll start a food blog. So I spent like 6 months learning food photography, learning like how to make my own sets, buying all these like camera lenses. I have 3 cameras. I'm like the whole shebang. And this is like 2 months after I have a newborn. So I literally have my newborn like propped. And then I spend like 3 hours a day just playing while my kids are in school. And so that was like my first, like, okay, I could do something fun. And then after that, my mom asked me at the time, she had just come back from California to Colorado, which is where we live. And she asked me if I would help her write this fictional tell all of our corporate experiences as Black women. And I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. So my mom is not the best writer. And at the time she just didn't know how to evoke emotion. And that's something that's really strong for me is how to get people in their feels and like really feel something. So I basically started ghostwriting the book for her. So we would talk, I would interview her, I'd pull out the pieces that were really juicy, and then I'd put in some of the pieces of my journey, of things that I experienced. And she tried to get it pitched to agents and publishers, and nobody wanted to touch it because this was during like the George Floyd area, and people were very like, ooh, we don't want to step into something that is tough.
Mhm.
So we wound up self-publishing. My mom took the book to LinkedIn. She started just trying to get people to read the book, trying to get people to read the book. And then about 6 months after that, a Forbes editor wound up getting the book from somebody. We don't know who. And they asked to interview my mom. So my mom gave this interview, and our book kind of blew up on Forbes. And we wound up getting like, I don't know, thousands of sales from that. And people were asking my mom, how did you write this? Like it feels like we are able to step into this Black woman's shoes and feel everything that she's going through and how hard it is to have things piled on top of her. And she said, my daughter kind of ghost wrote this for me. And so then I started getting people asking me to ghostwrite, which kind of launched the first arm of my like business officially. I did ghostwriting and editing, and that was really great. I sold that thing out. I had a 6 month wait list. I made 6 figures in 11 months. And then I had my second round of burnout because once you experience burnout the first time, nobody tells you that you're like, it's years to recover. It's not 10 months, it's years. And so you're like almost twice as likely to burn out within another year if you don't address the burnout from the first. And at that time, I had no idea that I even had burnout.
Mhm.
So, I just grow this agency. I've got ghostwriters, I've got editors, I've got this whole machine of a business, and I'm completely overwhelmed and drowning. And it was like the day after I filed taxes and I saw how much money I had made because I had no idea. I was thinking, like, I'm drowning. And then I'm looking at my bank accounts and my statements, and I'm like, wait, I made six figures? And I called my best friend at the time and cried because I was like, where did the money go? Like, I don't
Oh,
even
wow.
know. I
Mm.
don't know where this money went. I'm depressed.
And were
So,
you, so it's always interesting to me, not to like
yeah.
go too off topic here, but it's always so fascinating to me when, because this is a very common thing. People will be like, I had no idea how much money I made. And for me, I'm someone who's like, what do you mean? How did you not know? Like, I don't understand. You knew the contracts were going, like, how did you not know? So for you,
Yeah.
what was it like? You were just like head down. I'm not even looking
Mm,
and just bills are on
I'm
auto
just
pay.
trying.
Like,
Yeah. Like, it was so much demand,
mm,
which parallel, I bring this up because that's currently the same kind of parallel happening now. But there was so much demand that I had no time to look at the money because I scaled. It's almost like the business took on a life of its own. There
mhm,
was so much. I wasn't marketing, I wasn't selling, I didn't have to do any of that because word of mouth traveled so quickly
mm,
that people were knocking on the door whether I was there or not. So at this
yeah,
point the ship is on the move and I'm just trying to run to get to the steering wheel so that I can get, but I can't even get there because there's fire after fire after fire. So the money is like the last of the things that I'm trying to look at. I'm trying to
mm,
keep up with the people that I hired that suddenly had imposter syndrome and felt like they couldn't be a ghostwriter, even though they wanted to be a ghostwriter. So giving them assignments and then realizing they have ghosted. They're not even communicating. We're past due. I've got to
it
chase
goes to the
them down.
ghostwriting.
Like they literally, and I'm like, oh my God. And now I've got clients that are asking, like, hey, what's going on? You were supposed to get
Yeah,
me a chapter. So I'm trying to manage that. I've got this phenomenal OBM who's trying to get me on socials to just like start to market. And I'm like, there's no time for that. There's no time to market. I already
yeah,
have too much. Like, I can't rein myself in. I got to get to the front of the ship so I can steer this thing. I
wow.
had editors who, again, were just not showing up and doing that. Like, I hired all the wrong people and all the
Mm,
wrong roles. And I hired from having a compassionate heart and coworkers who were like, get me out of corporate. I am like, I want to do this, but weren't really the right fit. So, and I'm spending so much money trying to find the right fit and then
yeah.
hiring mentors to help me and them having kind of like no idea how to actually help me. So, kind of wrong fit investments that I'm not even looking at the money. Like, I'm just like, I'm barely making it. That's how it felt. Like, I'm barely making it. I'm working around the clock. There's no way. So, then looking at that and realizing I made this much, but what do I have to show for it? Where,
Yeah.
where is that in my bank? Because it's not here.
Yeah. And I think that's again like a very common experience too. And I've seen so many creatives who have an overflowing business and they move into the agency model.
Hmm.
And that's the absolute wrong fit for their like
Yeah.
energy, personality type. And yeah, like it sucks up your money real quick. So you could be making multiple six figures, but if you're spending 150 out of 200 on
Yeah.
like contractors, employee, like all the
All
things,
the things.
it goes real fast.
It goes real fast. Yeah. So that was like a lesson for me because I had like in corporate, my team always loved me. Like I had such great leadership. That was something that people always complimented me on was my leadership ability. And
Mm,
so having that happen where like I'm not in control of my business, I'm not showing up as my best self in my like what happened?
Yeah.
So I actually burned it down. Like I had a 6 month wait list. I gave everybody refunds. I terminated everybody on my team. And I was like, I got to figure this out. What happened? Like, how did this escape? And then I floundered. Like that was a period of floundering, of me trying to figure out what happened, learning more about leadership, taking some certification courses, doing whatever I could to pay the bills, which I started doing, creative content strategy, which is how you and I started to work together. I started just doing whatever, like, I'm just going to find wherever I fit while I'm learning about what happened here. And then I started helping, like, once I started to understand, I started to work for some 7 and 8 figure coaches as their project manager, which is what I did in corporate, so that I could
Mhm.
really see, like, what does a 7 figure business look like? What is an eight? And then I realized, okay, these people are having the same things that I had at the
Yeah.
6 figure mark. So now that I'm having all this learning, I can start to apply this to their businesses. And so that was like, I call that like my pivot, I'm like the pivot queen, first of
Yeah.
all.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to say too, is that I've seen you now go through multiple iterations of
Hmm.
business and of Deb. And
Hmm.
one reflection that I have is like, you are so badass at being like, here's the new thing I'm doing and I'm dope at it. And guess what? Here's what I'm charging. And like, just going for it. And like, I'm not in your mind. And so I don't know all that's gone on in your head before you launch your next thing or before you make your pivot. But from the
Hmm.
outside, I think you do, like, you are pivot queen because you do it so confidently and in a way that looks um, like graceful that I don't think most people do.
You. I hear that a lot. And I don't know. I think it's number one, I am a manifesting generator in human design. And I know that personally, I am my most magnetic when I'm in a playful mood. So as soon as I put on like the stuffy CEO hat, I completely repel because I'm just not feeling it. So every pivot is not strategic at all. It's literally, I am feeling trapped. And then the question I ask myself is, what would be fun for me to do right now? And
Mhm.
because I get so excited to be in like fun, I'm such a like, in not like a negative connotation, but I'm such a childish person. Like I love to play. I love
Yeah.
to just like it's not so serious. So that's literally the question I ask is like what would I do if I could just have fun right now? And I naturally do have a very confident like self. So I get so excited that I get to play. I already have this like identity of knowing that whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do it the best. So there's like I have a healthy ego. Sometimes it's not so healthy, but my ego is big.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
And so that's kind of what drives. So like I'm just pivoting. I'm just trying things on because
Yeah.
at that point I could not commit. I had commitment issues with my business
Mm.
because of that first round of like I committed to ghostwriting and that thing blew up in my face. I'm not trying to commit to anything. I would rather just play. So I
Yeah.
like pivot and I throw out this thing and I'm confident and it's magnetic because I'm having fun. And then I get tired of that and I try on the next thing and I just let myself kind of flow through that. And that's literally how this iteration of business came to be was me
Mm.
feeling like I am feeling trapped. I am feeling frustrated. My sales have gone down. I was doing storytelling, which, from the jump, I've been doing storytelling and content and
Yeah.
things. And I started doing like brand messaging, but story based brand messaging. And I had a few months where like that was great. I was selling my VIP days out with ease. And then suddenly I had like hit this wall of I don't want to sell this. And I'm, sitting back and I'm like, why don't I want to sell this thing anymore? Like I need money. I need, I'm the breadwinner. I got to make some money. And it was that my website, I was like, my website doesn't reflect what I'm doing. And I need a sales page because it's getting a lot like I don't enjoy selling off of Google Docs, even though I can and I have.
Yeah.
I want something that looks like what I'm trying to create. And scrappy. I'm super scrappy as fuck. So I'm like, I'll just build another website. I'll rebrand. I'll get my brand colors. I figure all that out. I got the website and I'm like, I need images because the images that I have are images that are me being pretty because that's what people typically wanted to see from me in corporate was like, you're too much. That was the general vibe. You're
Mm-hmm.
too good. Your ego's too much. You're too smart. You'd be like, dial it back some.
Yeah, tone it down.
Tone it down. Be pretty. Just be a pretty woman.
Yeah.
So, I had these pictures taken and I'm like, I love them. My daughter took them. I taught her with my food photography cameras and like, I love them, but they don't represent me. When somebody looks at these pictures, they see this very kind and gentle and like just a pretty picture. They
Yeah.
would never guess how egotistical I am, how sassy, how sarcastic. They would never know because I'm
Yeah.
not showing that side of me. And maybe if I bring this in, I'll finally feel like I can commit 100% to my business. So I'm like, okay, that's the one thing. I want images that are more me. But I just got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I just got diagnosed with chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue. And like, yeah, I've been, navigating and recovering from 2 bouts of burnout. So I'm not necessarily desiring to get in front of a camera. I don't necessarily want to go rent a house. Like, this is a whole lot. And I started looking at, like, I know AI images are doing some things, and I start researching, and I'm like, okay, I got $50. Like, I can spare this. Let's see if I can make an AI model of myself and just make some pictures for this website to bring it all together. And then I'll feel confident to sell on my VIP days again. So I start playing and I realize really quickly how good I am at making these images of myself. So I send it to my sister and my mom, and they think I had a photo shoot done. And I say, no, it's AI. I just did this. And my mom asked me, okay, can you make me some of me? And let me see if people on LinkedIn know if it's me. So I do some of her. She puts it on LinkedIn. Her engagement skyrockets and she's like, they have no idea. This is AI. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. So I like get my website going. And that was kind of where I was like, I'm good. I made enough images that are real enough that if somebody goes to my website, they won't guess or think that these are anything but brand images for me.
Yeah.
So like
Because
I can,
they're so realistic and they're not cartoony and they're not, yeah, like you really have put your artistic stamp
yes.
on them, right? And
Mhm.
really made them look like photo images, not like
Yeah.
artificially put together images.
Yes. Yeah. And that was what I was going for is like, I don't want this to be like, I see gimmicky AI. And
Yeah.
that for me, that's not good enough. I am somebody that I have a father with extremely high standards. So for me, I will say that that's the most positive way I could say that.
Yeah. Understood.
Good enough is not good enough. Good
Yeah.
enough is never good enough to play at the levels that I want to play. So I'm like, I want this to be a premium website. I can't have gimmicky AI. That's not going to support the goal that I have. It's got to be as realistic as a photo. And can I pull this off? And then when I realized I could, and then I, test some with my mom and she pulls it off, then I'm like, okay, I could launch the website. I could showcase the website and how beautiful this website that I designed is. Or I could confess that the images I put on the website are AI. And I can see if people want to buy a package for me to try it with them. And I went through some wobbles because I came from a very poverty stricken upbringing. So being scrappy is always the driving force of why I do the things that I do, pivots that I make, all of that. It's just me being scrappy and just trying to figure it out with the limited resources that I've had to figure it out with. So there was shame. There was shame associated with that because I'm like, I'm so proud of what I did. And what if people see this and they're like, you're a fake? Authenticity is one of my top values. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, will people look at this and say, you're not who we thought you were? You're not as authentic. I like, how dare you? Like, you, if you're able to pull the wool over our eyes at this level,
Yeah.
like you're not in all that stuff. And so I'm thinking about that and I'm like, I don't know. And my mom was like, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should just let it be on your website and not say anything and just like let it be. But I kept feeling the nudge of like, this would be so fun. I had so much fun making these images of myself. This feels more fun than doing the VIP day. Like, I just got to trust it. So I put it out there as a beta offer and I only wanted 5 beta sales. I wanted this to be a small cash infusion so that I could get back to my storytelling VIP days.
Yeah.
And this would give me just a little injection of fun and playful activity. And in within about 4 hours, I put it out like at 10 o'clock at night. This is how much I was so unserious about this is not a strategic launch. I'm just like, it's 10 o'clock at night. Let me put this out there. Let me see. Within about 1 hour, I got 5 sales. I got my 5. And then I thought, okay, I'll leave it up. I'll see, like, we'll see how it is tomorrow. The next morning, I have about 35 DMs. I have, I think, 12 sales by like 9 o'clock in the morning. And I wake up, my Facebook is so overwhelmed with engagement that it's like glitching.
My God.
I can't see the DMs or the comments. Like there's so many happening so rapidly that I can't even like comment. I can't like my DMs start to disappear, which is an energetic thing too. Like when my energy is being like fed into, technology tends to do weird stuff with me.
Mm,
So I'm navigating me thinking this will be a good cash infusion to now there's like 15 sales and like 40 DMs and people asking for the link. And I'm trying to get them the link, but I can't because tech is glitching. And I have the flashbacks of this same thing happening with my ghostwriting agency and
mhm.
how that blew up. So, my pattern, which I have done so much work to not be in, my pattern flares up, right?
Yeah.
I have fearful avoidant attachment style. And so 90% of the time, I would say 95% of the time, I am in secure attachment. But there's 5% that I will be in complete fearful avoidant. I need to get away. And that's what happened. So tech is glitching. Everybody's commenting. If I don't respond, people are like, hey, did you see my message? Can you get me the and I'm like,
Oh
shut it
God.
down. Pull the whole
Yeah.
thing down. Like this,
Yeah.
we're gonna burn this thing down before we even make it a thing. Let me deactivate
Yeah.
my Facebook. Like I'm trying to run. I start to delete the links in the place, the one post that I made. I delete the links. I'm like, okay, I need to put a pause on this. There's too many people wanting this thing. Then I have capacity to deliver on this thing. So I delete the link. I start to ignore the DMs. Like, I don't even see you. You're wanting something. I'm not here. That's my normal pattern. It usually works really well because I'm energetically repelling the people. It didn't work this time
I
because
was definitely one of those people in your DMs too, being like, oh my God.
that brings up a whole other thing. So it's like there's so many people asking for the link. There's so many other people like, how did you do this?
Yeah.
Can you teach me? Can you? And I'm just like, let me run away.
Yeah. I'm
So
throwing the laptop out the window. You'll
literally, I
never see
was
me
just
again.
like trying to go in a corner and like hide, like tuck my head down and be like, I don't see anything happening right now. So I pull the link. I'm not responding to people. I'm like, I need to pause because, 12 sales overnight, that's a lot of work that I've got to figure out. And I don't want to burn myself out again. So the people that realized that other people had got the links went to those people and asked for the link and
No
got the
way.
link. So in 2 days, I've got 20 sales. And I'm like, still just like, I don't even know what's happening here. So I tell those people, please don't share the link. This is like the last beta. I can't, I need to. And they're like, I'm sorry. We're just so excited. It's okay. It's okay. 4 people. I had a friend who bought a Venmo, like she sent me money on Venmo to buy a package. So, not counting my friend who I knew was going to Venmo me money, but four other people found me on Venmo, sent me the money, and then DM'd me to be like, "Hi, hope this is okay. Can I get on your calendar?"
No
So I'm
way.
like, even when I stop sharing the link, even when my pattern to like burn it down is trying to burn it down,
Yeah.
this thing has taken a lot, like the things are not working. I literally have to get in front of this and leave this because,
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do? Start to read. Like, I had no joke in 4 days, 35 sales. I made $14,000 off of this beta, like in a
And
week.
you just wanted five people.
And I just wanted five people.
So where, yeah, okay, so I love it. So where, like, mentally are you at where you're like, oh, okay, this is really taking off and like I need to kind of like rein it in, but I also am seeing a lot of abundance, a lot of
Yeah.
like money coming in. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, where were you mentally at in terms of like navigating all of that big kind of boom?
The money and me being like seeing how quickly this thing took off, my ego loved that. My ego was like, of course. Like, if anybody would do this, it would be me. Of course, the demand is through the roof. Like, and then there was a part of me that's like, but how am I going to deliver on all of this? Because equally, yeah, I have an ego, but I also have an ego for my standards of work.
Mhm.
And can I hold both right now? Can I hold the standards of my work? Can I hold the standards of the money too, while having flashbacks to the last time I was doing this level of business and then realizing this business surpassed that business in a rapid
Mhm.
amount of time, like
Yeah.
6 months. I can totally see myself in like 5, 6 months having six figures because that's the trajectory that this business currently is on. So there was so much of like, I have to get it together. I've been training for this.
Yeah.
I've been pivoting and learning how to hold myself and making money where I can so that I could focus on like my capacity to hold a business at this level because that's what I wanted always was like I'm not the solopreneur person.
Mm.
I am the like I want an empire. I want hundreds of people on my team. I want to stimulate the economy. And so
Mm.
it's interesting to know that deep down that's what I want, but I have been not doing that because of the fear of who will I have to be to hold that without
Yeah.
burning out. So that's what I started to realize is like, okay, I've been doing the solopreneur thing for 2 or 3 years now so that I could learn how to like navigate my nervous system, navigate my, but like I'm seeing myself in my fearful avoidant pattern.
Mhm.
And this time catching myself and being like, okay, no, the business it's going with or without you. Either I'm on board and I'm willing to handle this or I'm not on board. And if I'm not on board and I've already gotten all these sales, then my reputation is going to be damaged because I'm not going to be able to deliver. And I've gotten everybody excited. And
Mm.
then I'm going to let other people down. I really don't have a choice but to step into this.
Yeah.
And so that was the decision that I made of like, okay, I'm going to roll with the punches. This is going to be dirty. It's going to be messy. It's going to be hard. And it has been. It's been amazing. And it's also been me learning how to hold all of the things because, yeah, there's money, there's abundance, but there's also a lot of haters. There's also a lot of people that are upset because now there are people, there are photographers that say, you're going to put photographers out of business. There's a
Mm.
lot of that. And so now I'm having to hold both the people that see what this is and how useful it is, and also
Yeah.
the people that think this is terrifying. You're going to train it. Yesterday, I saw a comment of, you've made it so realistic And because you're so good at this, you're training the AI model that you're using, the software, how to be better, which means that more people are going to take this and do really shady stuff with it. More people are going, you're making it easier
Mm,
for the scammers. And so, like, holding all of that happening,
yeah.
holding the clients who I celebrate doing these images, and then having people jump on their comments when they celebrate their images and being like, I used to trust you and now I don't because this is bad. So, there's
Yeah.
so much that I'm
And
having to navigate.
yeah, and like deciphering what of that is actually yours to hold or not, right? When
Hmm.
a lot of it, because your name is connected with this, and because I
Hmm.
do feel like I know there's other people that are doing this, but it feels like you're pioneering this in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. And so
Hmm.
I think you're receiving a lot.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily all yours to hold, but obviously you're a empathetic human and you're like, okay, let me just I'm aware, right, of
Hmm.
all the things that are
Yeah.
coming at me.
And it's like picking the battles. Like, what do I have capacity to respond to today? And what am I just going to be okay not even giving a response to? Because there's the also delivery
Yeah.
of having 30 sales a month. And
Yeah.
like my mom and my aunt are a part of my team, and like navigating having family who are like your elders as your employees. There's that
Yeah.
aspect.
How is that going? Are those good hires?
Okay, no, it's I appreciate their help so much. It's been interesting because I actually turned, this is so funny. I think I might put out like a master class called like turning shit into gold because for a period I was so frustrated because my mom and my aunt, number one, they are, my mom's in her late 50s, my aunt is in her early 60s, and they both used to be fashion models. They have the eye for fashion. It's just not current fashion.
Yes.
So what was happening is like, so I teach them, they understand the concept. They understand like, okay, this is how we do it. They're great at that. And then I would give them like, okay, here's the scene. Like we do everything by scene. So, here's the background that we're doing, here's the outfit, here's the props, here's the poses. And then we bring it all together. And that's where like it's such an artistic process of like, I'm not just gonna put you in the middle of Dubai
Yeah.
and like we gotta make this thing work. And so, I give it to them and they just go rogue, which is hilarious because my rebrand is Women Gone Rogue. And it was born out of me bringing my home life and like how often my mom has had to go rogue to navigate her life, how my grandma went rogue, how I go rogue and do crazy things like pivot in the industry. So I'm like, of course, they are doing what they've done,
Yeah.
but they would go rogue. So, my aunt, this one client, it's supposed to be just a basic cream suit, like a bandeau top, just super chic. And she like shows me these images and she's made like 300 of them. And they all have a hat and the suit has pearl embellishments. And I'm like, wait, did she say she wanted pearls on her suit? And my aunt's like, no, but it looks so boring. Like I just threw it in there. And the hat ties it all together. And I'm like, no, she didn't ask for this. We got to put it back. We got to put it. And then there's my mom. So my aunt is like the fashion, like going rogue. Like she just wants to
Yeah.
tie it together with some shoulder pads and some pearls, and
Everyone gets a hat.
everybody gets a hat. And then my mom is like the props and the location. So, I put this on Facebook the other day where, it's supposed to be like a luxe coffee shop, a very sophisticated iced coffee. My mom does like a frappuccino with chocolate syrup and caramel syrup and whipped cream and sprinkles. And I'm like, Mom, this is like diabetes in a cup. We can't have this as an image. I open the image and my eye goes to the coffee in her hand, not her face. That's a problem. And she's like, oh, yeah, makes sense. And then, there's one scene where this person's supposed to be like sunset on the beach, like super flowy. She's a spiritual person. And my mom is doing the images, and suddenly I go to check one of the things that I've done, and I'm like, wait, why are we at night? Why is she in the ocean, like skinny dipping? And my mom's like, I was gonna put a yacht in the background. And I'm like, Mom, stop. Oh, why are we doing this? So
Oh my God, I
it's
love it so much.
so boring. Sitting on the beach is so boring. And I'm like, Mom, come on. I need you to reel it in. This is like, no, put her back on sunset. And so then my mom's like, okay. And then suddenly it's beach volleyball at sunset. And she's got like, so we're navigating like, guys, I need you to just
Yeah.
reel it in for me, please.
Oh my gosh. I love that they're just like, we're gonna do our thing.
Mhm.
You can deal with it. We're
Yeah,
gonna give everyone pearls and
my mom is like, you're stifling my creativity. I am an artiste.
you're
And
like,
I,
okay, by the way, it's still my business.
right. So going back to this like turning shit into gold at the height of how frustrated I was that like they can't. I thought, how do I make money off of this? Like I had a goal of $20,000 for the month of February, and I was just like out of it energetically. I was like, I don't even want it. Like this is so hard. And then I woke up the 28th and I was like, okay, I was being dramatic. I want to hit my revenue goal. How do I do it? And I thought, what if I take how frustrated I have been with them and turn it into something playful? Because again, like I just want to be in that playful energy. So I called it the Auntie Edits, and I offered a bonus for anybody that bought a package that day that they get 5 bonus images, but it's going to be my mom and my aunt going rogue. And I think I got like 8 or 9 sales. I wound up making like 4,000 or $5,000 that day that put me over my revenue goal. And I was like, that felt so much lighter to just acknowledge that I'm frustrated, but also how can I make this into something that makes me money? So now I'm like, guys, you get the bonus ones. You can go crazy. I'm not going to rein you in. If you want to put them at sunset, beach volleyball, you go for it. And they are looking forward to it. They want it. They opted in for this.
That's so funny. And such a great piece of evidence that business doesn't have to be A, so serious, and B, about like perfection.
Mhm.
And also that, like, again, I think something you do well is kind of like share the behind the scenes and the front of the the front of the scenes.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think like that's something I feel like I've struggled with. I feel like a lot of creatives kind of struggle with is like we feel a lot of pressure to like show up and show the thing we do as perfect, flawless. We got it together. Like ain't no
Mhm.
thing on the back end. We're just doing it great.
Yeah.
And like that's really not the case for most people most of the time.
Hmm.
How do you kind of navigate any feelings around like perfectionism or yeah, wanting to be like I'm a legit professional and also like sometimes things are going rogue back here.
Yeah. I will say that I still have the feelings every single day because I'm such a perfectionist. It's what I'm known for. I've built a reputation of even if I just like suddenly make a pivot and I offer something new, my reputation is you can trust that I'm going to do right by you. Like it's going to blow your mind. So I already have that reputation. And that again is like just very, very important to me. So there's a lot of feelings about what will people think if they know that behind the scenes, this is kind of a shit show that I'm cleaning up. and, but I also know that people resonate with me more when I share the vulnerable stuff than like yeah, they love the work that I do. But even more so, people love when I share the things that I'm navigating and like how hard it is sometimes, how heavy it is, even if I don't necessarily want to share that. Like I don't enjoy sharing how hard it is. But I know that there are people that are judging themselves because they're experiencing similar stuff
Mhm.
and they don't see people talking about this. And so knowing that, yes, right now I am a pioneer and there's a level of visibility, like I'm in a fishbowl and everybody's watching what I'm doing, then how do I do this justice? How do I be a pioneer who's not just setting the standard and making everybody feel bad that like they're not hitting the standard yet? You know, for it, I think about the people that started services looking at my work and then trying to duplicate it. Like I'm even considering that. Like, how do I hold that I want this work to spread and I want people to do this justice and I want them to see the whole spectrum of this, not just the highlight reels of I'm making a bunch of money and everything is so easy and like this is so realistic. If I'm going to be in the fishbowl, I want everybody to see everything. Like
Mm,
because that's what I think it means to be a pioneer is if I'm the standard, then what does the standard look like? And how do I give grace to the people that are trying to do this work with me? How do I give grace to other people that are seeing me as aspirational so that I don't get pedestal? Like the worst thing I want is to be pedestaled, and that happens quite a bit.
yeah,
And so the pathway to not get pedestaled is to share that like this is not all like golden roses over here.
yeah. Sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
sorry. I had to pause because I hear my baby screaming. Um, she's with her dad. Hopefully, it'll be okay. Um, yeah, I think about that a lot as, someone who like considers themselves a leader, and I think that it's um, helpful when you can take the thought of like, how am I showcasing my leadership and not kind of like the dark side of, oh, everything's on me, or like I can't break or falter or make a
Mhm.
mistake, right? There's kind of like the light and the dark of that
Yeah, it's
that
that
level of
duality.
leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And before we wrap up, I want to know, um, I have a few more questions. Number
Yeah.
one, I want to know because you had shared, and we don't have to go into like specific numbers, but you had shared on Facebook that last year, what you made financially, income wise last year, you've already made with in this year and maybe more this year. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, can you share like from money mindset, money energy point of view, how does that feel to be like, oh, okay, I was at this level last year and now I've made that within 3 months this year?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I still have money stuff come up. Um, the things that I noticed that I didn't like, I've just been like, huh, that's interesting. We're doing something new. Where like last year, I made about like 45, $46,000, I think, something like that by the end of the year. And ever since that first burnout moment, my income year over year just kept going down because it's like the pull of you know that you're being called to play at these higher levels, but my past experience has shown me that when I play full out, when I let people see how confident I am, how good I am, when I like just take the veil down, it's met with negative stuff. So the past kind of three-ish years, I've been like trying to systematically make myself small and play at levels that people seem appropriate. And the revenue directly reflects
Match that,
what
yeah.
that was doing
Mm,
because every year I keep playing smaller and smaller and smaller. My revenue keeps going down. So I'm trying to be appropriate and not myself. And so this is like the first year that I'm doing it myself. I'm letting myself be seen. I'm letting people say that, yeah, I'm the pioneer and the innovator of this space. And like, these are all internal thoughts that I have, but for that to be reflected publicly, there's such a magnetism that happens there.
mm,
So for me, things that I noticed, like I last year would lock my debit card and every transaction would basically get declined and I would get a notification and then I would go unlock my debit card and like pay the thing. So like every mentor I worked with, every person I worked with, you're first going to get declined because my card is locked just to make sure that nothing gets paid without me knowing about it. And then I'll go through and I'll unlock it and I'll pay it and then I'll lock the card again. And this year I'm like, oh, my debit card isn't locked. Stuff is like just coming in, stuff is going out. There's a surplus still. Like, what does it look like to have all my bills paid? And then I look and I'm like, I still have $12,000 in the account. That's crazy. Like, it's a lot of just like, huh, I can pay for my kids' soccer stuff because my son is in competitive soccer. And I'm like, that's $1,000 and $500 for the uniforms. There's still money here. I don't have to log, like, there's little stuff like that that I'm noticing that are like, oh, this is a different mindset of I don't have to be scrappy with my money, which is how I've been with everything. Like everything, I've been scrappy. How do I make this work?
Mm,
I'm in a season of I don't have to make it work because it just works.
mm. And do you feel like there's also part of you that's like, oh, of course I have this much money. Of course I'm making it. Like,
Yeah,
duh.
of course. The ego in me is like, this is
Yeah.
supposed to be at. That
Yeah.
should be like, I will get more. Pull
Yeah.
this. Like once I get the back end kind of cleaned up easily, I'm gonna aim for like 500,000 this year. And I'm like, I would be the person that gets it. Like, but then there's also the part of me that still is like, but what if we stop? What if people like, what if people start to do this at the same level as me? And
Mhm.
suddenly my sales dry up. And there's people that want me to teach them. There's the, what if I teach them? And
Yeah.
because I taught my own competition, my own sales in this arm, there's all of that still happening that I still feel and I still have to work through on a nearly daily basis.
Yeah. And I think that's so real for all of us. And I think, as you've shown, like you are a pivot queen, right? And also, like, I saw someone's post today about competition and is competition real? And it's like, obviously, competition is real. And obviously, there's still lots of people in business who have been in business for many years. And I think, like, yeah, if it's not working, then you pivot. And
I'll
if
pivot.
it's like still working, like there's so many more people in the world out there, right? And I think sometimes we're
We
just in
forget.
our little bubble and we're like, okay, well, that was like the 50 people I know. And like,
Mm,
oh yeah,
it's so
wait,
true.
there's so many more people.
There's so many more people. And that's what I remind myself is like all of this that's happening has just been in my little bubble on Facebook. And I'm like, I haven't even gotten to Instagram to start to promote this. I haven't even gotten to LinkedIn to start promote this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I know if I started to put in the time to like get in more Facebook groups, post more on Instagram, post more on Thread, like there is a surplus that I can still tap into. So I have to remind myself that like there's still more. There's an abundance of people that need this service. And even if I train people, which is like coming down the pipeline of like, yeah, I'm going to train people how to do this, like there's more than enough for all of us to be millionaires and do this work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
True story. All right, Deb, thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for you and just happy that more people are like getting to know you, getting to witness you, getting to see your creativity gone
Hey.
rogue, and all the aunties' creativity gone rogue. Um, and tell people where they can find you if they want to follow along for all the amazingness, all the drama,
Yeah.
buy a package, get an AI photo shoot.
Absolutely. So I am right now on Facebook. It's I think my handle is Deborah Gone Rogue. And I just updated my Instagram. So it's the same username on Instagram. I'm about to start showing up on Instagram and starting to showcase the things. So both my handles there are Deborah Gone Rogue.
Beautiful. Okay, we love it so much. Are there any like final bits of wisdom that you want to drop on us or share with people?
Good question. I think the biggest thing that I can say is to just let yourself have fun. Like as a creative, we have to be having fun. And I think there's something to be said about wanting to do something just because it'll be fun, not necessarily because it's the right strategy or the right. And I love strategy, but the biggest moves are often born out of us being scrappy and having fun.
Yeah.
So if we focus on that, everything else can be managed.
Mm, I love that. I think that's a really fantastic reminder
Mhm.
for all my creatives who are out there like hunched over their iPads trying to figure out what's next. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for fun. All right.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for sharing, for being here, for
Yeah.
being your wonderful, hilarious self. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Go connect with Deb, follow along, get a AI brand shoot. It's gonna rock your world,
Mhm.
upgrade your business.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Hey, all, thank you so much for tuning in today. It would mean the world to me if you could subscribe, share, and leave a review so more people can learn about this work and access their true wealth. And if you'd like to continue your wealth work, please pop onto my email list so you can choose your own wealth adventure, whether that's applying for one-to-one coaching, accessing my DIY content, or staying tuned for upcoming wealth boosting programs. You can find all that at the following link, bit.ly/wealthypjs, PJS, bit.ly/wealthypjs. Join me there and let's get wealthy.